noon.
Good stuff.
Just listen.
Setting up McDaniels again. He is feeling it here in the opening quarter. That's 14 here in the first on perfect 5 of 5 shooting, 4 of 4 from distance.
We talked about who needs to step up. Jaden's taking it to heart.
Good morning. Welcome to 9 to noon. Minnesota went 1-1 last night in basketball versus the state of Wisconsin. You just heard Alan Horton on the call with the Timberwolves absolutely smashing the Milwaukee Bucks. In your face, Milwaukee! Sadly, the Golden Gophers lost a spine tingler to the Badgers right at the wire on a game-winning 3. We begin with the pros, and joining us now after a 33-point victory at Milwaukee is head coach Chris Finch, thanks to Second Harvest Heartland and twoharvest.org, along with Prize Picks. Chris, Paul Allen, first and foremost, how are you feeling? You missed the San Antonio game.
Hey, good morning, Paul. I'm feeling much better, starting to feel more like myself. So I appreciate you checking in. So,
and how much did it eat at you not being able to coach a game? Like, you're not feeling well for whatever the reason. You're thinking about it. You're talking to Mike and Nori and the staff about it, maybe the players. But then all of a sudden you're like, damn, man, I just can't do this. I mean, did that eat at you?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, the first time I've ever missed a game for illness as a player or a coach. I had one kind of. I actually had it happen had something happen in Cleveland a couple of years ago prior to a game. But this, I've never been laid low like the flu like this before. So in my entire life, so it was difficult. You know, it's kind of a weird one because you're thinking, well, I should, you know, I think I can get through it. I could. By the time the afternoon rolled around, I could barely get up and move around. I was, you know, and I just, you know, that was contagious and didn't want to get the rest of the team sick and all that stuff. And I have complete faith in our team and our players and our coaches to be able to go out and win a game without me. So I wasn't worried about that. It's just a kind of odd feeling then to sit at home and watch your team on TV.
It was that Philadelphia Eagles playoff loss, wasn't it?
I always love that one.
Yeah, well, that was pretty brutal too. But thankfully, our guys were able to finish the day off and give me something to cheer about.
Yeah, last night provided so many talkers in my estimation. But just back to that San Antonio game, man. Good job by Mike and Nori and the gang to be able to step in and win. I mean, did you chat with him at halftime of the San Antonio game or stay away and let him channel his, inner Jonathan Livingston Seagull?
Honestly, I'd stay mostly away. I just feel like in those situations, now, we talked on the phone beforehand. I had given him a heads up in the morning. I said, hey, listen, I'm not feeling well, and it's getting worse by the minute. So just be ready. You might have to go tonight. And then we spoke in the afternoon. At halftime, I had texted one of our assistants a couple things I had seen, and that was it. But I just feel like in those situations, Micah or whoever's coaching has to coach with a clear mind and their gut instinct. Not coach the way a game I would do it. They have to do it the way that they would do it. Because, basketball, you're making 1,000 decisions a minute as a coach, and you just got to go with what the game is in front of you. And sometimes the lag time by reacting to whatever somebody else wants you to do, the moment is lost. So, Mike is a head coach in this league. He's built for it. He's filled in different situations. He's always done an amazing job. The staff always rallies around and helps him in the way that they need to. Pablo calling plays, ET on the defensive side. Everybody comes to help in that situation. So I just feel like it's their job to kind of run the show. And I trust them to do it.
Well, last night, no Edwards, no Rudy, no problem.
In your face, Milwaukee.
You jumped them by 18 in the first quarter and almost scored 80 by the half. Have you ever had a game where so many guys were able to set their feet, then spin the ball to get the seams exactly how they want them before hitting a bunch of uncovered threes and shots? That was just amazing.
Yeah, well, we brought incredible pace to the game. I thought, everybody, Julius played outstanding, kind of at the point forward position, but everyone got out and ran. We played with great pace. We got up and down. And with us, one thing I've learned about us, the faster we play in transition, the more it quickens our decision making and our next action and the ball movement follows. And when you're moving the ball like that and you have a bunch of really skilled players out there who can all do their own thing, everybody's going to get good looks at it. And that's what happened. And we made the extra pass, and there was not a lot of like ISO basketball. We played away from the crowd and just take the simple play. And we just had to rely on our quickness. We went with Giannis out there on the floor. You don't want to get into a wrestling match with him, but I'll tell you what, with the times that you do, we got a pretty good guy, Julius Randle, who was ready for that challenge at both ends of the floor. Well,
McDaniels and Clark too, and more on that in a minute. But the 19-year-old Yohan Berenger gave you 30 minutes last night.
Yeah.
You played him 11 consecutive minutes through the first and second quarter. Tip passes, terrific desire, fighting for boards. That kid excited you last night, didn't he?
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, he's excited us since we got him in the draft. I mean, all credit to Tim and his crew. They were on him. They locked in on him, and they went to see him in Chicago for a private workout. Tim kept gushing about him coming back. When he came back, was just had all the raw materials to be a really good player. And we saw him in summer league, and he had 3 or 4 blocks in the first couple of minutes of his first summer league debut. And just watching him play last night, someone playing with that much excitement and activity, and he knows who he is as a player. And I always say this, as a young player, like figuring out who you are and just sticking to that, and that being your foundation as you move forward. And then, of course, you can develop things as you go along, but playing to your strengths and really leaning into them, and just doing it over and over again with great energy is the way to get on the floor as a young player. Now, we needed him, and he delivered. And all credit to our coaches and our structure down in Iowa, because we sent him down there several weeks ago just to get reps as a young player. Like he had gotten his feet wet. He understood what we were trying to do up here, but he wasn't going to play, and he wasn't quite ready to play, and he needed to go play. He just needed to kind of feel the NBA speed, pace, style of play, just get his fitness up so he could make all these energy plays. And, our coaches down there done an incredible job. Because I saw it right away when we played him some mop-up minutes a few games ago. I don't remember what it was. I was like, he just looks more sure of himself, where he should be, how he should do it, how he should exert his energy. You can see it right away, even in 4 or 5 minutes of what's traditionally known as garbage time. He was outstanding. And when you see that as a coach, that he can deliver in minutes that matter.
Well, Berenger turns 20 in November. Holy cow. What was off what you just said, Chris? What was last night a one-off for the young man due to Rudy's suspension? Or did he give you something to at least ponder with your rotations moving forward?
Oh, he's definitely given us something to ponder, and it's things that we've been pondering anyway. I mean, I'm not saying we're gonna insert him into the rotation and he's gonna play 20 minutes a night. It's as much as we'd love to. those minutes would still come at the expense of some really good players. So everyone's going to have to kind of give up a couple minutes here and there. We have the ability to maybe move Nas to the 3 as well. I think that creates some opportunity for Johan to play. But we're moving forward. We're going to definitely look at things. We've been playing a bunch of these younger guys earlier in the season. We've got a bit of a rotation right now that's really clicking. We got to be mindful of how we, do or do not disrupt that. But we certainly are going to continue to find opportunities for Johan to play. It just might not be on a nightly basis. So, but everything's on the table right now, PA. So it's a long season. Teams take injuries. They do a lot of things. So, but it's certainly a great first step.
Sounds to me like you're thinking about, I don't know, maybe for 3 minutes a game, the Tri-Towers, like mid-'80s Houston Rockets, Ralph Sampson, Akeem Olajuwon, and Jim Peterson. You'd have Gobert,
there you go.
Baron J, and Naz Reid. Holy cow, Naz Reid at the 3. Wow. Chris Finch, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland, 2harvest.org, and Prize Picks. You referenced defense earlier. Jaden McDaniels offensively started 5 of 5. Now, his defense was excellent as you were running away from them. And I particularly like that sequence where you waved McDaniels to half court to pick up Giannis. He was all over him and clearly bugging him. Then that's about the cleanest switch off a pick that I've seen all year. And now Jalen Clark is on Giannis. He bodied up to the superstar. Giannis pushed off for his 4th foul, clearly frustrated at the tenacity that he was facing. I mean, that's like bottle that defensive sequence and use it as a teaching point forever, right?
Yeah, I mean, that sequence reminded me a little bit of the sequence that we had in the playoffs where we had Jaden and McDaniel, Jaden McDaniels and Nikhil, swarm Jamal Murray, and that's been a large part of our personality is getting under team's skin defensively. And, I think at times this season, certainly at the beginning of the season, we didn't have that, but we've had it, the last 20 games or so. And what I love about our guys, Jaden, Julius, the start of the second half yesterday, we had some foul trouble. Nas had picked up 3. Julius had picked up 3. And Julius had done a great job just matching Giannis' physicality. But I was worried he might get another foul. So we tried a little zone, and then we got Julius out of the game to protect him. And Jaden stepped up immediately and wanted the Giannis matchup. That's what I love about our guys. Like, even the other day, Julius wants the Wemby matchup. Anthony wanted, the Fox matchup down the end. Our guys really, they ask for these things, which is what you really want from, your guys. So,
and Chris, in no way shortchanging the effort last night. But did you get Milwaukee at a good time? Now, granted, you were down two of your best players, but they had been gone more than a week to the West Coast, played Sunday at Denver.
Yeah.
So, did you preach before the game, hey, these guys might be slow to go, so it's important to jump them?
Well, to answer your question, yeah, we got them at a good time. There's no doubt about it. Returning home, like the home game after a long road trip is almost like a road trip, like you're almost on the road still. I don't know what it is. There's a funkiness about it all the time. But we didn't talk about it necessarily. We just knew what we needed to get off to a good start. That's kind of been key for us. I think our guys were amped up, ready to play. I think they wanted to prove what they could do, down a couple guys, a lot of guys knew that they were going to, be asked to do more and called on to do more, and they were ready for it because they're damn good players themselves. So, yeah, I think both things are true.
Dante DiVincenzo, fantastic and spry last night. San Antonio game, 19 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals. He hit 5 3-pointers. Is this the best DiVincenzo has played for you since arriving?
No doubt. No doubt about it. Consistent, high-level energy, making plays. I think that's where it starts. What I love about him is he just makes plays. It's not just his shooting. Even when his shot's not going in now, he's he's making hustle plays, getting offensive rebounds. I thought his pressure of the inbound pass, which led to a loose ball 3 that he makes in the corner, was the play of the game the other day in San Antonio. And we were starting a little bit of a comeback, and when that like avalanche starts, it needs momentum, and that was the momentum kicker for me. And then late in the game, he comes in and gets an offensive rebound. He smacks it out. I don't know if he got accredited with the offensive rebound, but he certainly kept it alive, and I believe we hit a three off of that. So, one of the things when we decided to move Mike Conley to the bench to start the season was trying to maximize Dante. How do we get the best version of Dante? And that was, getting him back playing starter level minutes where he had played in New York. So far that plan has seemed to work, and he's thriving in a lot of different lineups. That's what I love about it. Like, he's playing across a lot of different lineups right now too.
So with Anthony not playing last night, and you don't play again till Friday at Houston, is that enough time to like the foot? Is the foot doing okay? Do you expect him to play Friday?
Yeah, from what I've been hearing, it's kind of a day-to-day thing. But we expect him to be up and running tomorrow at practice, and hopefully, I'm sure it'll be questionable for Friday, but hopefully it continues to go in the right direction.
Last one here, Coach, and I didn't break down the all 10 on all your games on this. I'm just like riding discernment and or my vibe from watching your games. You guys are so good at scoring out of timeouts. Can those situations be unscouted looks given teams are working on offense or defense during the timeout?
I think, what's key in those situations is how are they guarding certain actions, right? And then you identify those actions and then how they're guarding it, and you have a bunch of plays. And, Pablo, again, I give him a ton of credit. Like, he'll always be recommending things, to run in those situations. And our players are pretty comfortable executing those a lot. We have a pretty deep playbook now that we've been together for a while, and just little wrinkles. And what we're able to do with this team that is a lot of fun is like move our players around. So we may have the same play, but we'll put different players in different position, and we can kind of run it over and over again and disguise it that way. So that's been kind of fun to do with this group, because we have so many multi-skilled guys. We can move. We can play Julius at the 4, 5, or the 1. So Nas, we can play at the 4, 5, or the 3. Jaden we've really kind of evolved what we do with him offensively. So it's been a lot of fun, and a lot of credit there goes to Pablo and the way he's thinking about those set pieces.
Think about Friday night when you got Nas at the 3, Baron J at the 5, and Rudy at the 4. Holy cow, the Tri-Towers, here they come. Hey, I'm happy you're feeling better, man. And it's
I appreciate that.
Houston, man. It's almost 70 and sunny in Houston, so enjoy the warmth, and we'll talk to you next week. All right?
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We haven't played Houston yet. It's kind of crazy. Halfway during the season, there's always a handful of teams you haven't seen yet. They're having a great season, so we're looking forward to that game.
Well, that's how you feel right now till you start breaking down the all 10 on Sengun. and
yeah, no doubt.
That'll be perplexing. All right, tear it up, man. We'll talk next week.
All right, thanks, GA. Take care.
See you, bud. Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, weekly 9 to noon, pretty much since the minute he got here. Thanks to Second Harvest Heartland and twoharvest.org. Also, thanks to Prize Picks for sponsorship of the Finchy Conversations weekly 9 to noon. Part of the Timber Tech What's on Deck set list, which includes some Vikes Bites around the corner, followed by Mike Florio, PFT, the Scribe makes an appearance on a Wednesday, and the College Football National Championship game is Monday night, and a College Football Hall of Famer who won a national championship in 2001 and also a Super Bowl with the Ravens. Former Vikings left tackle Bryant McKinney joins us a couple of hours from now. We're excited about that. Nordo produces, and I'm Paul Allen. This is 9 to noon at FM 100.3 KFAN, your cash thing leader.
Indeed, the fan wants to give you a shot at some bonus bucks with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword dollar, and you might win many of them. With the keyword dollar, enter that now at KFAN.com.
Yesterday, we helped Double B, filling in for Nordo, through the 7 stages of gridiron grief. Now, with the Vikes big pressure yesterday, we heard Coach Kevin O'Connell kind of chat his way through some of those same stages. And for Kevin, there definitely still was shock.
Reichert kicking it to the east side of U.S. Bank Stadium. Boom. A shorter kick by design. Duvernay from his own 3, heads right, 5, 10, 15, 20. Gets a nice block from Blackwell. Eric Wilson trying to run him down with Will Reichert. And Josh Blackwell make that Devin Duvernay out of bounds deep in Vikings territory. Devin Duvernay with a cold-blooded return of 57 yards.
Working the way through the 7 stages of gridiron-related grief. There maybe was some denial, like, did we really get shut out at Seattle?
It's 4th and 1. Snap. Brosmer rolls out to the right. He's in trouble. He's going to throw the ball up, and it's picked off. Awful decision by Max Brosmer, and this is going to be a defensive touchdown for the Seattle Seahawks. It's Ernest Jones, the 4th, with the first touchdown of his career, and Seattle has taken a 9-0 lead. Max Brosmer, falling to the field, decided to underhand it to absolutely nobody except Ernest Jones, and he's going to go the distance for the first touchdown of the game. Seattle has taken a 9-0 lead. It'll be a pick 6 of right around 85 yards.
There was some acceptance and hope that was shared regarding young JJ.
42 seconds to go in the first half. 10-3 Chicago. The Vikings are threatening McCarthy. Shotgun facing a 4-man rush. He's going to throw to the end zone to Addison, and jump ball. The Bears picked it off. And J.J. McCarthy has been picked off for a second time today, and a second time in his career by former Viking Nashawn Wright, who has his 4th interception this season, and a wonderful drive by the Minnesota Vikings, full of potential to tie the game, has been turned over on an interception again.
Oh, good.
He mentioned the processing associated with his self-evaluation, and clearly still has job-related depression, given he has to hate watching others play in the postseason. With Kevin and Kwesi, perhaps the bargaining will lead to finding more excellent free agents like this guy.
Vikings rush 4. Williams runs away from Redmond to the right. Van Ginkel got him, and he sacked him. Andrew Van Ginkel with a big-time sack back at the 18-yard line. And the Chicago Bears are punting it away to Miles Price.
And the only anger I sensed from the head coach yesterday was the lack of emotional support provided by Miss Lynn Jones.
I want to tell you, congratulations on your success, young man.
Thank
you. Hold your head up, all right? You guys have had a most magnificent season.
Thank you.
You did a great job out there today.
Appreciate
so you
it.
just hold your head up, okay?
Thank
and
you,
ladies
ma'am.
and gentlemen, Duval, you the one, all
Thank
right?
you, ma'am.
keep it going. We got another season, okay?
I appreciate
Take
it.
care and much continued success to you and the entire team.
Thank you, man.
Welcome to Vikes Bites. This is a daily occurrence, and Nordo and I will make your company money. For the first time in years, this prized real estate known as Vikes Bites has opened, and we want you to pick it up. Advertise with the fan and make Vikes Bites great again. Call Lonnie at 952-417-3000. Press 1 for English if that's what's needed, then 2 to get to advertising and sales. Then ask for Lonnie, and he'll get you squared away. We aim to please. We aim to make you money. for your hard work and dedication to KFAN. 952-417-3000. Pick up Vikes Bites and ask for Lonnie. Here come Vikes Bites. Welcome back, Nordo.
Thank you. Vikes Bites. Enjoyed the press conference yesterday while I was dealing with ear infection terrorism with the babe. So I was listening to Kwesi and KO. Some audio stood out to me. I don't know at the conclusion of it how much time was left 9 to noon, how much deep digging and reflection was done post presser. But some things stood out to me, and I'd like to chop it up with you. Starting with Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, when asked, "Hey, is JJ's QB1 2026?"
I want the Vikings to achieve our goals, and I think one of those goals is to make playoff runs and do different things like that. I think he's the character and ability to be the person to do that for our organization. If I say that in 2026, that kind of binds us into a certain, area. The way we've set this team up, we built this core to really, like we've always talked about, give ourselves multiple shots at it, because you never know when there's going to be a year where the field's a little bit wide open and you can make that run, and so that's what we're really focused on. Talking about whether it's this year or next year isn't really, my immediate reflection. It's my job to really bring that deep competitive room that we've talked about to the Vikings.
You can tell me if I'm wrong here, PA. Typically, we get the chance week to week to chat with Kevin O'Connell throughout the season, and love the access, love those conversations. We read through tea leaves, and again, we've joked kind of the longer you listen to KO, the more that those tea leaves kind of manifest into what you're trying to find out. I thought of the two yesterday, PA. I thought Kwesi was as illuminating as I've heard him talking in relation to various topics on the Vikings, including that where I think you listen to that 40-second clip, and yes, don't want to get pigeonholed here in 2026, and we want to put the best team on the field. I think the answer is simply enough. It will be a competition in 2026. That 2025 was not good enough, and that's bringing potentially a new face into the mix, raising the level of the QB room. We've talked about that together 9 to noon, and I think that's effectively what the general manager said when he answered that question.
I agree. Now, I like Kwesi. I didn't necessarily like that answer, and that's just my personal taste. And Alec Lewis whispered a question to him where I love how Alec phrased it. He phrased it up, do you want J.J. McCarthy to be your starting quarterback next year? Not analyze the chances. Do you want? And if you watch the reaction, of course, listening to it, but watching it, I thought it was polarizing, the expression on Kwesi's face. So there were multiple times where it was said, the quarterback room will be fortified. There will be competition into 2026 off what you just played about paraphrasing, quote, it's not my job to look at this and then look at that. Instead, getting things squared away for the totality of the team. I agree with that, but it is the job of a general manager to absolutely tear apart 2025 and what you didn't like, fortify what you did like. And when you draft a quarterback where you drafted J.J. McCarthy and you get 10 starts out of him, there's an opportunity to say, yeah, he is the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings until he gets beaten out of the job. But if you say that, it's going to blow up nationally. And then if you're interested in the Marcus Mariotas of the world to come in and compete with him, well, they're not going to want to come here because they think it's a fixed race. So I felt it was honest. It was straightforward, which was terrific, but I still left it wanting more, wondering what the offseason looks like with that quarterback room.
Two more audio clips in relation to the QB situation in the QB room, both from Kwesi. The first one, any look back, you mentioned tearing apart the 2025. Looking back, any chance we read J.J. McCarthy's readiness or what that floor would look like? Did we potentially make a mistake in that evaluation to push forward with him?
The information we had was all good, but it was admittedly, incomplete and small sample. So ultimately, we trusted in the information we had. We trusted in our coaches. We trusted in the team around him to do that. And so it's hard to really, when you think about that and then go look back at the season, as I talked about, you saw the improvement at the end. You saw the flashes of the player we thought he could be. So in that sense, I can't say that we were overconfident. Maybe the timing didn't work out with other aspects of our team, whether that be injuries or different things like that. But, ultimately we're comfortable with where we are, and we're excited about where you can go.
Well, I mean, based on it, you're probably not comfortable with the 9-8 and missing the playoffs and the QB room as it exists now. But I get the sentiment, kind of sidestepping that a bit. But I thought this kind of in combination with that, the word overconfidence. He was asked maybe if they handled the Daniel Jones salary situation in their efforts to bring back Daniel Jones. Any chance they were lowball?
I don't want to say overconfidence, but I do think him being here was something that we kind of considered and thought would impact his decision. But ultimately, they are free agents, and to your point, learning lessons. I think execution-wise, you have to treat it as such. No matter what the conversation is or relationships are, free agents are free for a reason, and they're allowed to vet all their options. And ultimately, we could have executed better around that.
Yeah. So you mentioned it after that first audio bit I played, PA. Listening to those two, yes, limited information, small sample size on the QB, that was mentioned. And then that was 23 seconds there on the Daniel Jones talker. Yeah, if we could go back in time and change that, we absolutely would. That's what I gathered from that mentally is, whatever the number was, we heard it reported that it was 500,000 or $1 million more than Indianapolis, and in the end, he chose Indy because of the open quarterback opportunity available to him.
Yep.
But I felt, and this is part of tearing that down, as you mentioned. Hindsight, looking back, yeah, man, we really needed Daniel Jones in this quarterback room, and we may have fumbled that opportunity in the process.
I fully believe they got caught off guard. I mean, I think when they secured Jones from the Giants, it legitimately was like getting an animal who had been battered in a certain household, get him out of that household, get him into the right situation, and just let Daniel Jones be a person, be a football player, not have any pressure on him.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna, in the offseason, assumedly have a competition for the starting quarterback spot. Maybe that wasn't properly conveyed to Daniel Jones, that it could have been a competition. He's reading the proverbial tea leaves. You love this kid, and you're going to go all in on this kid, so therefore I'm going to go take Anthony Richardson's money.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to take that money there than it is this money here. So I'm not mad at Daniel at all, but that was a precarious situation that definitely played into the 2025 for the Minnesota Vikings. A team that's not in the postseason, the teams that head into the Elite Eight of the NFL will be discussed, plus much more, with Mike Florio from ProFootballTalk.com. That's around the corner on KFAN. Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, NBC's Football Night in America, and author of a book called Big Shield. He joins us now. Mike, are you working on a new book or books after Big Shield? And good morning.
Well, good morning, Paul. Great to talk to you as always. Yeah, I have finished the first draft of a manuscript that is a legal thriller involving sports figures. And once I finish the first draft, what happens is I go back and I start to redo it, and I quickly realize how bad it is, to the point where I ask myself, number one, who wrote this crap? And number two, why am I wasting my time doing this? So the challenge is to take that first cut and rework it, reshape it, improve it. Once the story's out and on paper, once the ups and downs, the twists and turns, and all the other stuff are locked in, then it's all about going back and just making it better. And that process starts now. We'll see what happens with it. We'll see when we get it done. This isn't exactly a slow time, but I'm finding whatever time I can to try to push that one to the finish line, and then on to the next one, and then on to the next one, and then on to the next one.
That's terrific, my brother. Can we book it, the LA Rams, with that cunning and guile and ring cred, roll into Chicago and beat the Bears?
I don't know that it's going to be that simple. The Bears have found something that if you could bottle it and sell it, you'd make a hell of a lot of money. They've convinced themselves that no game is over. Ben Johnson explained after the win over the Packers on Saturday night that before the season started, back during training camp, he showed the players Super Bowl 51, that 28-3 turnaround by the Patriots. And, oh, by the way, the Bears have a player from each of those two teams on their current roster, Grady Jarrett from the Falcons and Joe Thuney from the Patriots. So they were able to chime in on how it happened and how it can happen. And he has gotten them to believe that when you fall behind, it's not a bad thing necessarily. It's an opportunity to create something memorable and to do something special. And I'm a big proponent of watching the demeanor, especially of quarterbacks during games, because I think the players feed off of it, and the cameras are always on the quarterbacks. And Caleb Williams, when things aren't going well early in a game, he doesn't have great demeanor, but man, he finds a way to turn that vibe of it's just not our day into it is our day and it's going to be our day and I'm going to do whatever I have to do. And that throw he made on 4th and 8, are you kidding me? That's one of the best throws. I think history, like once we get through the current playoff field, and a lot of it depends on how far the Bears get. The farther they get, the more significant that throw becomes to overall pantheon of great postseason throws. But I don't think it's been appreciated to the point that it needs to be, and I think as time passes, especially if the Bears make it another level or two beyond where they currently are, it ends up being remembered as one of the great postseason throws that the NFL has ever produced. And if Caleb Williams can keep doing that kind of stuff, I'm not ready to say, even though the Rams are favored by 3.5, that they go in there and win. We'll make our picks tomorrow, but it's going to be cold. And I know that won't affect Matthew Stafford, but he's just one of 47 that are going to be in uniform. It may affect some of the other guys, and the Bears just have something right now. I can't wait to be at Soldier Field. Sounds like that place was rocking the other night, unlike it ever did during the 31 prior times Al Michaels had been there to do a game. So they got something special, and I know that hurts for the Vikings, the Lions, and the Packers right now, especially the Packers. But, man, it's rare for Chicago. It's so unlike the way they did it 40 years ago, and Rams-Bears, first playoff game between those two teams since the 1985 NFC Championship.
And do you remember who the quarterback for the LA Rams was that day?
Was it Dieter Brock? Dieter
Brock. What a great pull by you. And see, I lived in Southern California at that time, and thus I'm watching the Rams games and everything against that 85 Bears defense. Dieter Brock, an excellent call by you. Hey, let me get this out of the way quickly. And it's a big question because we don't know how the inner workings of the Green Bay Packers go. But like, if you ran the Packers, would you extend LaFleur?
Well, first of all, if I ran the Packers, they would be selling shares of that team faster than they were selling frozen concentrated orange juice futures at the end of Trading Places. So anyone that holds paper in the Packers should be very happy I'm not calling this shot. Here's what I'll say. I'd be inclined to keep LaFleur, but I would also recognize the gravity of the moment. My first big decision within a year of getting the job. What am I going to do here? And this one is weird to me. And all due respect to Aaron Rodgers and his rant the other night about the media's role and coaches being on the hot seat. Look, we don't make the decisions. The owners do. And if the owners are so wishy-washy, they're going to listen to idiots like us when they make their decisions. They got far bigger problems than whether or not they should keep their coach. All the Packers have to do, and it would take 5 minutes, send out a press release, post a tweet, Matt LaFleur will be our coach in 2026. Have they done that yet? No. All they've done is leaked that they're going to negotiate an extension or attempt to negotiate an extension with Matt LaFleur. Well, if they play hardball with LaFleur, and they can, they got him in a position of weakness coming off of that debacle on Saturday night. Andy said after the game in on Sunday how important it is for him to stay. They can present him an offer that saves them corporate dollars because you got a lot different juice when you've just gotten to the Super Bowl and you've got a year left on your contract than when you've gone one and done in a game that you had it in your grasp, 21-3 at halftime. So this one's fascinating to me. And, Paul, I'm thinking that in a roundabout way, the longer this lingers, and I think it's in the interest of both sides to get this done ASAP, the longer this lingers, I wonder whether the Packers are hoping that someone will call them regarding, and it's not a classic trade because the coach is part of this process and the coach can shut it down whenever he wants. He can just say, I don't want to talk to a new team. But one of these other teams, and there's now 9 total vacancies, one of these teams could call up and have the hypothetical conversation with the Packers about what it would take to hire Matt LaFleur away. And the longer this lasts, the more suspicious I'll become that the Packers are hoping someone will do that to solve their problem. Right. We don't have to fire him. We don't have to extend him. And we pick up whatever the draft pick compensation would be, and both sides move on.
That's a unique take. I like that. Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, NBC's Football Night in America. Have you been to Soldier Field before?
We were there for the first game of the what season was it? Was it 2019? Whatever the 100th season was. Remember, that was the one year they didn't do the traditional Super Bowl champion plays in the game. They gave Packers-Bears that first game because it was season 100. We were there. It was the first time I'd been to Chicago. And I know that Vikings fans don't want to hear this, but Chicago is awesome. Chicago feels like New York and Pittsburgh had a child. They love football. It's amazing how they support that team. They played day after Christmas last year against the Seahawks, and they were out of it. It was done. It was over. They were down to their interim coach, and the place was full. And it wasn't, unseasonably warm. It was cold. It was wet, and they filled that place up. So Chicago is an awesome Midwestern football town, and it's amazing how they've had to struggle through. They had that moment in '85. It's amazing it didn't morph into a dynasty. They were good enough that they should have won multiple Super Bowls, and then they've just kind of been there ever since, like they were before. When I first discovered football in the early '70s, the Bears were just kind of there, like the Lions. They were just kind of there, and it's been a long time coming, and it's always been driven by defense, and now it's driven by offense, and they've got the foundation in place to be in games like this for many years to come, which, it feels like when the Packers finally figured it out in the late 80s and into the early 90s, it feels like that's what's going on in Chicago.
Excellent run for Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh, despite the fire Tomlin chants Monday night. Now, Mike Florio posted a story at ProFootballTalk.com about 50 minutes ago about Tomlin and TV work that's on the horizon. You think Mike Tomlin should be calling games or analyzing games, not doing studio work, right?
I think he'd be wasted in a studio. And look, generally speaking, and I say this acknowledging that I'm part of a pregame show, the nighttime pregame show is very different from the morning pregame shows. They are so less impactful and relevant than they were when the NFL Today first landed on CBS 50 years ago, because you had no way, as a practical matter, to get up to speed on all the teams. I grew up 60 miles from Pittsburgh. The newspaper had Steelers stories for the most part. You turn on the local news, they get to the sports at the end, it's about the Steelers. You really couldn't get the table set until you tuned into the NFL Today. Now, you can get whatever information you want. So I don't know that Mike Tomlin sitting at a desk at Fox, CBS, NFL Network, ESPN, I don't know that that takes full advantage of what he brings to the table. I want him in a booth. I want to hear the Tomlinisms uttered in 20-second sound bites between plays. I think that passion, that ability to, and I think some of his catchphrases he comes up with on the fly, I think he would be awesome. I think it would be a revelation. It would be akin to the same, oh my God, that occasioned John Madden doing games and Tony Romo, early Tony Romo. And it's funny because current Tony Romo isn't all that appreciably different from early Tony Romo, but the people that loved him when he first showed up because he was so different than what we had seen, those same people are like, let's get rid of this guy. And I'm not saying that CBS should fire Tony Romo and hire Mike Tomlin. The reality is there aren't many seats out there. And if Tomlin wants to do games, like he's not going to be on the Fox number 5 team doing Titans Colts in week 13. He deserves to be and needs to be in a prime spot.
So with John Harbaugh, Mike, are all the teams awaiting a Harbaugh decision before making coaching moves? And is it astonishing to you in any way John Harbaugh is on the market?
Well, you've got teams that are going to be spinning a bunch of different plates. They're doing their interviews. They're collecting their information. Harbaugh is the first big domino And he's got, as one owner told me over the weekend, more leverage than any coach has had in decades. And he does. He shows up, he gets fired, so he's free and clear. There's no compensation to be had for the Baltimore Ravens, and he can go wherever he wants. And it reminds me of the Deshaun Watson trade 4 years ago, where the Texans set it up and Watson's agent set it up as a 4-team competition: Browns, Saints, Panthers, Falcons. And it created this sense of competition. Who's going to get Deshaun Watson? The Browns were the first ones to be told no, and what did they do? They turned around and they came up with a 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed offer, and they won the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. Not that it turned out well for the Browns, but my point is, as it's all seemingly directed toward the Giants, and there's a lot of steam that the Giants is where he's going to land, all it takes is one of these other owners to say, screw this. I want this guy. I'll pay this guy. I got the money. It's all a write-off. It's a business expense. I got plenty of other money. I got billions. I got a 300-foot yacht. Like, I can do this if I want to do it. Some of my peers may be upset with me if I blow the curve, but I want him. He's got that power. He's got that cachet. It doesn't surprise me that he's available because it felt like it had run its course in Baltimore. But he's going to be able to pick wherever he wants to go. And as it relates to Tomlin, even if he wants to go to TV, one of these other teams may say, you know what? We're going to call him. We're going to make him an offer that maybe he won't refuse.
Right.
And maybe he will think twice. They'd still have to compensate the Steelers on the back end. But I think that is a possibility. With so many of these jobs available, when you think of it this way, there are 32 teams in the NFL. 23 of them currently have head coaches. That's the turnover this year. And those teams out there, they don't want to be in a position of looking for a coach next year. And if Tomlin's going to be available next year, well, our job's going to be full. Let's go try to get him now. So I think that's another thing to watch. The news that inevitably will come out that some of these teams are trying to convince Tomlin to go coach them, understanding that they'd have to also do a deal with the Steelers.
Brian Flores used to coach with Mike Tomlin just a few years ago. What do you think of the way Brian Flores is handling business? I mean, reports are, he completed his head coaching interview with the Ravens, and also reportedly is sniffing around the Commanders for a vacant defensive coordinator job. What do you think about all this?
We reported the other day the Vikings are confident he'll be back as defensive coordinator if Flores doesn't get a head coaching job. Now, I don't know. Is it justifiable optimism? Is it implausible? Are they being confident to the point of delusional? I don't know. But watch this Pittsburgh job, because a couple of weeks ago I did some reporting and talked to a bunch of different executives, coaches, others, etc., just to get a gauge on what the Brian Flores chances of getting a head coaching job would be. And along the way, and I'm surprised he hasn't gotten more interviews, but along the way it became clear to me, despite the issues in Miami, despite the things that you hear about, how the Belichickian way doesn't necessarily mesh well with the culture of the Vikings organization, and there are some complaints about Flores being a little too hard-charging. Flores could be the guy in Pittsburgh. They loved him there. He was there 1 year. They gave him the landing spot after he filed the lawsuit against the NFL, the Dolphins, the Giants, the Broncos, and the Texans. They loved him in Pittsburgh. And you think about the way he approaches the game. You think about the commitment to defense, that creativity, the confusion, the chaos. They already know him. They've already spent time with him. It won't surprise me, number one, if he gets an interview. He should get an interview there. But it won't surprise me if he's the guy. He's also, and this is the other thing to consider, even though the NFL has a very real ageism issue that doesn't get discussed nearly enough, the Steelers are going to be looking for somebody young enough to be there 20 years. And Flores is. And, they love, I think, this idea that they had 3 coaches since 1969. Every one of the guys they hired was in their 30s. Flores isn't, but, given the difference between 1969 and today, early 40s, mid-30s, same thing from the standpoint of life expectancy and work life and fitness and all the other things that go into it. He could do that job for 20 years if the Steelers would decide he's the right guy. They got a hell of a choice to make. They're going to have a lot of options. The problem with having a lot of options, you eventually got to pick one. It's like going out to one of those places with this big-ass menu, and you got, man, this looks good, this looks good, this looks good. You got to pick one at some point, and they're going to have to make a decision. I will not be surprised if he emerges as a very viable contender in Pittsburgh.
And also around here, the Vikings had their season closing, off-season commencing, a press conference yesterday. O'Connell and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. Neither the head coach or the GM said yesterday J.J. McCarthy absolutely is the team starter in 2026. Now, I'd still make him favored to start game one, but those guys did not conclusively say young J.J. is for sure the starter. What do you make of that?
Well, and think of what that message would be if they said it in Kansas City or Buffalo or Baltimore. The message is clear, and they're sort of admitting that they blew it last year by not having a viable veteran quarterback there for the entire offseason, training camp, preseason. They went out and grabbed Carson Wentz after the rosters were cut, and he was the guy who became the J.J. McCarthy insurance policy. You need someone who can play if he's injured. You need someone who can play if that guy is better than J.J. There needs to be a real competition. I've been saying this for weeks, if not months. There needs to be a real competition. The question is, who's going to take that job? Who's the veteran out there who's going to step in and say, okay, fine, I understand that I may be on the bench. And I think it all comes down to expressing to the veteran the same message that the Colts gave to Daniel Jones last year when it was clear to him he was going to have a fair chance to unseat the guy in whom the team has more invested from the standpoint of making themselves look good, making themselves look like they didn't blow a top 10 draft pick. The Colts were willing to admit they got it wrong with Anthony Richardson. They just wanted to stabilize the position. The Vikings are going to have to send a clear, unequivocal message to whoever they target. You get to come here and truly compete to be the week one starter. And if J.J. McCarthy doesn't like it, they'll deal with that. I think last year they were more inclined to tiptoe around J.J. McCarthy. This year, after giving him a season to show what he can do when healthy, and number one, you got to stay healthy. If you're going to be a franchise quarterback, you got to play. You got to figure out how to play without missing games. The quarterback has to be there every single week. So the position that he's going to be in is justified. It's deserved. And now the challenge is, of the options that are out there, who's the guy that's going to be competing with J.J. McCarthy? It's going to be a tough decision. Just like with the Steelers picking a coach, you're going to have options. You got to pick the right one.
Enjoy Chicago, my brother. That was fantastic. Call you next week.
See you, Paul.
See you, bud. Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com. It's 10 o'clock. Good morning. The Scribe, Ben Gessling from the Star Tribune, joins 9 to noon.